Okay, there we go. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Glad to see you on this, right where I am, it's sunny, but I don't expect that to last. Appreciate you taking the time. And we would like to get started with, make sure that your Zoom is updated to the latest version. And in the top, generally the top right-hand corner of your little square, there are 3 dots. If you would like to change to speaker view, then you should be able to see the speakers at all times rather than scrolling through if that is uncomfortable. And so any questions that you have about Zoom, you can let me know. And Teresa will be letting us know about questions and etc. once we get started with the program. But first, we would like to have the land acknowledgement by Meg McNicholas.
Hi, good morning. We collectively acknowledge this gathering is being held on the stolen and unceded ancestral and contemporary lands of the Chinookan people and the Cowlitz Indian tribe. We pay our respect and gratitude to the indigenous peoples of this land, past, present, and future. With the acknowledgement, we commit ourselves to continued education, accountability, and social justice.
And that's a perfect segue into civics education. Teresa and her team have a dynamic program ready for us, and we're very excited to participate. Go ahead, Teresa.
Thank you. I'll wait for Tracy to put up our first slide. And while she's doing that, welcome and good morning. I'm Teresa Torres, the Civics Education Chair, and this morning's presentation is the combined effort of Tracy Riley Kelly, Ellie Hutton, Mary Schick, and Sarah Bennett. So let's get started. Slide 2, please. Slide 2. Okay, here we go. So we want to know if you know your civics. And if you don't, that's okay too, because that's our purpose. So I'm going to ask a few questions and just raise your hand in Zoom or type it into chat if you know the answer. If we were in person, I would be giving you a piece of candy for the right answer, but instead we're all just going to silently applaud for the first right answer. So, and please note that some of these questions came from the League of Women Voters of Alameda County, and you can go to their website and test yourself if you'd like to. So here's question number 1. I can't vote because I'm homeless. Is that true or false? Go. Sarah. Oh, and Meg. Okay. Well, Meg, I think your chat got in there first. So we're going to say Meg. And Kathy, you're correct. False. According to nonprofit.org, homeless people can vote in every one of our 50 states. In fact, here's an unusual thing that I just learned. If they don't have a permanent address, they can note a street corner or a park as their residence. Okay, question number 2. It's actually a 2-parter. In Washington state, I'm 16 or 17, but will be 18 by election day. Am I eligible to register to vote? Yes or no? And then part 2 is I'm 17, but will be 18 by election day. Am I eligible to vote in the August primary? Yes or no? All right.
No.
Sharon's got it right. Nancy, Jane, everybody's got correct answers there. That's great. Yes, and that's a recent law that just passed. And I believe Mary will correct me if I'm wrong. That is taking in effect this year. Is that right? Yes. Okay, question number 3. This is multi-part. What does it take to be a good citizen? Try to be a person of good character. That's A. B. Learn science. C. Lean towards optimism. D. Think of yourself as a very powerful person. E. All of the above. Nancy is just like, she's getting this. Yeah. It's E. This is from the state we're in, and I think it's the last chapter. It empowers young people on all the ways to be a good citizen, and it's all of those things, plus more. Okay, question number 4. Before the 19th Amendment was enacted, granting women the right to vote in I'm reading that wrong, sorry. Before the 19th Amendment was enacted, granting women the right to vote, many states enacted their own laws by granting women the right to vote in their states. The first state or territory to grant women the right to vote was? Who
Utah.
knows?
Utah.
Wyoming.
Wyoming. Oh my gosh.
Although I bet Utah is up there. I don't know. Okay, question number 5. This is long. Let me read this through. The census is used to determine the number of states each state has in the U.S. House of Representatives, the number of electors each state sends to the Electoral College, the amount of federal dollars that state and local communities receive for services and projects, including federal nutrition and education programs, housing programs, and other social services. True or false? If you remember the whole question. True. That's right. Good job. Interesting note, on Census Day, the League of Women Voters participates in the complete count committees to share information about low reporting areas and communicate where additional support is needed. Once the census count wraps up, the League remains in communities and watchdogs any issues from the ground. Final question. In the United States, if you're registered to vote, you merely need to go to your voting place or mail in your ballot in order to vote. True or false? Sharon says depends. She's taking the safe answer here. Yes, it's false. It's not easy in many states. We are really blessed here in Washington for how easy it is. As of August 2021, 36 states had laws requesting or requiring voters to show some form of identification at the polls before they can vote. And the League of Women Voters is voting to ensure that every voter, regardless of where they live, has equal access to the ballot box.
Now, one thing I would recommend is people watch their signature.
Yes, you're correct about that. And actually here in Washington, and Mary, correct me again, because I consider you the expert on this. The first time you register to vote, you still have to show. Tell me about that, Mary.
You're not showing any identification. You're using your driver's license.
Your driver's license.
It wasn't there. And so often it's your driver's license signature that's
Yes.
used. So be aware your driver's license signature is usually just very quickly done. But
Yes.
and I did ask specifically this Kathy or that at the elections office if they have a lot of problem with the signature matches. She said, no, this county, not as much as others.
Yeah. Okay, well, good job, everybody. So let's move to slide 3. Here we go. Nope, keep going. All right, so what is civics education? This is a definition that the State Civics Education Committee formulated last year. We do a civics moment each month so we can impart a little knowledge each time. And Sandra Gangle, our expert on the Constitution, will be presenting this month. So take it away, Sandra. Unmute yourself first, though. Sandra, unmute yourself. Sandra, unmute, please.
Sorry.
There you go.
Hear ye, hear ye. It's July of 1787. I'm speaking to you from Philadelphia, where I'm one of the 55 delegates to the Constitutional Convention. We have been working hard to draft a new constitution to replace the Articles of Confederation, which have proved to be inadequate in many ways. That document didn't ensure a national government or a national judiciary. Although we had agreed to send representatives from all 13 states to Congress, we didn't give those representatives specific authority to make important laws for the whole country. There was no uniform taxing authority, no national military. Also, slavery became a big issue. Some of us would like to abolish it, or others insist that it can't be changed. So we're here to decide those issues. Slide 2, please. We've been working hard and we've reached agreement on many of the issues. Our preamble explains what we've accomplished. We achieved a more perfect union by clarifying the representation numbers of representatives and senators so that the large states won't dominate the small ones. And we ensured domestic tranquility and established justice. We provided for common defense and promoted the general welfare. We set out a list of the specific types of legislation that Congress could enact, and we provided for a Supreme Court and subordinate federal courts. We added the phrase, the blessings of liberty, to show that we still honored the common law rights of the Magna Carta. Freedom of speech and assembly, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, right to bear arms, freedom from unwarranted search and seizure, and the right to fairness in criminal justice. They've been part of our heritage, so we didn't think we needed to spell them out in the document. But we've heard that some people are unhappy, so we'll come together later and put those in a separate Bill of Rights. Okay, next slide. Slide number 3. We designed a new structure for our national government. There are 3 equal branches to balance the power, so there cannot be tyrannical rule by a monarch. Our Congress will make the national laws, and they will be the elected citizens in 2 of the houses of Congress. One is called the House of Representatives, and the other will be the Senate. The president will be elected by the people for a 4-year term. We will ask George Washington to run for that office as our first president. He will administer the laws, and then the federal courts will interpret them and enforce them if necessary. Next slide, please. Our most senior delegate, Benjamin Franklin, helped us to solve a number of conflicts that arose during the convention. First, we had to find a way to balance the number of representatives and senators for each state so that the large states would not control all the decision-making power. 3 states, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina, had more than half the population of all 13 combined. So they would definitely dominate, and we thought that would be unfair. In addition, the southern states wanted to include the enslaved persons in their population count, and they have far more enslaved people than the northern states have. Some of us, especially the northern states, wanted to abolish slavery entirely and allow enslaved persons to become free citizens. We also debated about what specific legislation should be within Congress's jurisdiction that would apply on a national basis, and what issues should be left to the states to decide for their own residents. So we negotiated for 4 long months, and then at the end, we reached a great compromise on all those disputed issues. First of all, on the representation issue, we decided that the House of Representatives will be based on population figures in each state, and representation in the Senate would not. It would just have 2 representatives from each state. Second, to resolve the issue of slavery, we agreed that 3/5 of the enslaved persons will be included in the population figure of each state. Those people will remain enslaved, but we agreed that the practice of importing new slaves to the country will be eliminated in 30 years, in 1808. Third, we spelled out the specific legislation that Congress can provide for the whole country. They can collect taxes for national purposes, pay the country's debts, regulate interstate commerce, coin money, establish post offices, declare war, raise armies and a navy, and even promote progress of science and the arts. But as for all the matters not mentioned in that list, the individual states will decide those for themselves. So after all that bargaining and compromising during 4 hot summer months, we're happy to announce that 39 of our 55 delegates have signed the new constitution, and we believe it will be ratified by all 13 states. Thank you.
Oh, that was good.
Thank you. Ellie, you want to talk about this next slide?
Yes, I'm already here. Thank you.
Okay.
As members, league members, we know how much civics education helps us understand and do a better job at our volunteer tasks, such as candidate forums and others. I want to speak specifically about when I became a new league member. One of the very first things that I volunteered to do was I signed up to help with candidate forums before the August primary. So on a summer evening, I found myself sitting in the campus library conference room entry, welcoming community members and the candidates to the candidate forum for the evening. I found myself drawing on the league motto when I was having conversations welcoming everyone, empowering voters and defending democracy, and also about the league's nonpartisan policy. I recognized how important it is to have a basic understanding of how elections work, from candidate filing week, elected official job descriptions, importance of voters' choice when voting in a primary election, and paying attention to when election results are certified. Friendly conversations like this in that kind of setting are so important to informing voters and candidates about our league and our work. It's also a great opportunity to volunteer for a specific event when you want to dip your toe into participating with other league members. As many of us can share with you, we are always supporting and learning from each other. We welcome you to join us at any of these events. And welcome to League today. I know we have some new members, so I'm really happy to see you. And I'm done. Thanks, Teresa.
Thank you, Ellie. Okay, we're going to show you a few slides that are packed with resources. Please don't worry about writing these down because you're all going to get this PowerPoint, another PowerPoint in an email, but that will have all this information in it. So first of all, we have League of Women Voters Resources. Many of these you're probably familiar with. I do want to put a plug in for Catherine Murray's Cultivating Civic Conversations. I just did a 2-month session with her. It's like an hour long each week. She uses the League textbook, podcasts, and other readings in an hour-long discussion for being better informed and learning how to civilly discuss politics with your friends and neighbors. So can we go to slide 10? So, oops, I think we want the state we're in. Did we miss that one or did that? Yes, here we go. Okay, so the state we're in is an excellent resource and you can click on the link and read it online. But if you want a hard copy, I have many of them, only $15. Okay, next one is the one. So now, no, go back. Go back one more. Here we go. So now you've started to get informed about civics and maybe you want to get a little bit more involved. So here's even more links to participate in a lively dialogue. And then the next one is, I think we had one more, maybe not. Okay. Let's go to, yeah, here we go. So now here are even more resources for deeper study. So again, don't worry about writing these down. You'll get these all in your email. All right, if we can go to the next slide. There we go. So there's been a pandemic going on, but we still have been doing programs. We've managed to do a number of them in cooperation with the Fort Vancouver Regional Library System. And now Mary Schick's going to tell us about a couple more programs that we've done.
Thank you, Teresa. Civics education and for the League is embedded in every aspect of our mission to empower voters. Voter registration tabling is today more about voter education than registration. We educate voters about their community, what districts they're in, when ballots will arrive, what they can expect to see on their ballot, how to correct a mistake when they're voting, or what to do if they got a coffee stain on their ballot. Plus how to spot misinformation and find resources with tools such as Vote 411. Next slide, please. We offer civics education programs for high school, young adults, and the general adult community in Clark County. Last year, the League sponsored Clark County High School civics and history teachers in workshops at the Harvard Business School to learn the CASE method. This project's goal is to help reverse the broad decline in civics education around the United States by using a series of cases in their classrooms around pivotal episodes in the history of America. Teachers in the battleground and evergreen schools have used this method in the classroom this past year, and it's been very successful. And then last month, we sponsored an adult community program in conjunction with Fort Vancouver Regional Library, and that program was moderated by one of our sponsored teachers. Our discussion on the struggle for Black voting rights allowed us to step into the shoes of civil rights leaders in the 1960s, and with the information they had at the time, we were able to discuss and debate what we might have done had we been faced with a key decision they had to make, which was whether to march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge a few days after Bloody Sunday. Next fall, we're going to host another one of those community cases, Democracy and the Women's Rights in America, the Fight Over the ERA. For more information on that program, please stay tuned to the voter, and that'll tell you how to register in the fall. Next slide. Thank you. This year on Temperance and Good Citizenship Day, which was January 16th, we promoted peaceful citizen engagement with students from the CAM Academy and Battleground. We used this League of Women Voters poster to explore some of the ways we can all be good citizens, such as respecting each other, being open to new ideas, learning science and facts, building communities together, being inclusive, and helping to solve problems together. This League design poster is one more tool to help reinforce ideals with student citizens, and also how important it is to be engaged and involved in their communities. If you want to get involved in civics education in your community, the League has many tools and other members to help you build and deliver your presentation. You won't be alone. If you're not comfortable speaking, we can always use your help monitoring the chat, testing, and supporting the speakers. Thank you. If you're interested in joining Civics, please, or you have any questions, please just add a note to the chat. Thank you.
Well, hi, everybody. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is our history moment, and it involves the Washington State Legislature Civic Education Program. And on this slide, you'll see that I have a link placed here. And again, the theme is that this PowerPoint presentation that you are going to be getting, save it because it's full of resources. America's future will be determined by the school and the home. The child becomes largely what he is taught. Hence, we must watch what we teach and how we live. Now, many states do not have a required civics education, but our state, Washington, does. So let's examine what some of the ways Washingtonians are learning about government.
You
Now,
have critical thinking.
Oh, okay. If someone might want to mute themselves. In the September column, I had discussed the September 17th National Constitution and Citizenship Day and its requirement that civics instruction be offered that day in order to receive federal education funds. In Washington, we recognize 5 official civic study mandates and observances. So part of the idea of my talk here is when you say to people in the public, say, no, our kids are learning these things and they actually have to, or the schools would not receive funds. October is Disability History Month. All Washington schools must provide instruction, including assemblies and guest speakers, to foster an understanding of disability history and of people with disabilities. The next opportunity is Veterans Day, November 11th. During that preceding week, schools must offer at least 60 minutes of activities to instill loyalty and devotion to the institution and laws of this state and of the nation. Now, as Mary was talking about, Temperance and Good Citizenship Day is January 16th. Now, when the state law mandating this education first was passed in 1923, temperance and the word temperance and its cousin, abstention from alcohol, was a super hot issue. with prohibition the law of the United States until 1933. And by the way, our state of Washington had passed prohibition in 1915, 4 years before the rest of the nation. But student education at that time then was very much focused on the effects of drugs and alcohol. However, temperance and prohibition are not interchangeable terms. Used to describe moderation and restraint in thought, action, and feeling, having temperance is an asset for civic responsibility. The law was revised in 1969 and the archaic language was removed, while the title has remained the same. And in 2013, the legislature added the expectation that on this day, schools offer eligible students the means to register to vote. The idea of education around self-restraint, by the way, that's quite timely, isn't it? Closely ties in with activities around the 5th civic observance, and that is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And this would be the day before, on January 15th. And in 2004, the legislative resolution called upon the people of Washington to study, reflect on, and celebrate King's ideals to fulfill his dream of civil and human rights for all people. The resolution encourages people that it is not a day off, but rather a day of service. Now, resources, resources, resources. One thing that we want to mention to everyone is we are not hot and heavy on DEI resources in this committee report, because our sister committee, the DEI, is going to be presenting in June. And at that time, we are going to provide you with many, many resources also for further your study into DEI issues.
Sorry, I wasn't ready. The library says that they're soon going to be doing in-person programs. We're hoping by this summer. And we have an opportunity to really engage with the public at that point. We have a few ideas up here on the slide, but we really like to hear your suggestions. So you can put them in chat, raise your hand, or email me later. So we are definitely going to do something on the importance of primaries, and we'd like to do a panel on homelessness. And of course, we feel adults need basic civics, so we want to do more of that. But if you have other ideas, please, please let us know. Like I said, we're putting you on the spot right now. So if you can't think of anything, you will have my email at the end. Let's move on to the next slide. Sandra's going to tell us about a fascinating book discussion.
Yes, thank you. We have recently completed a study of the book Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. Caste is a book I strongly recommend that everyone read. It's about the traditions of exclusivity of social classes and the mistreatment of certain groups within a social, within a country. It talks, of course, about India and Nazi Germany, but most of all, it traces the problem in our own country, the history of racism in our country, and how that is essentially a caste system where people of color have been treated as second-class citizens, and in a subtle and not so subtle way. So it's a very good book. It's very readable, and I recommend it. Now, we recently decided to conduct a second reading group to do How Civil Wars Start and How to Stop Them by Barbara F. Walter. That book is extremely timely. It just came out a year ago, and the author had been researching the history of civil wars in various countries throughout the world. She is a researcher, a very highly educated professor, and she had no idea that January 6, 2021 was going to occur in our own country. And the book came out just a few months after January 6th, and she had time to include a chapter analyzing that event and comparing it to the outgrowth of civil unrest and civil war in various countries. She shows how civil unrest and inequality in various ways can lead in a gradual, subtle way to uprisings that lead to terrible, terrible violence. And therefore, this is something that we all should read. So far, we've had 11 people sign up for the book group. We're going to be meeting for the first meeting, the final Tuesday of this month of April. And then we will meet for 3 successive Tuesdays. So we'll meet for 4 Tuesday evenings at 6:30. And you still can register, and as many people as wish to can register for the group. The book is hard to get at the library. I understand that they have a very long waiting list in the Vancouver system. I myself have had a copy through the Camas library, and I'm about ready to return it because I've purchased my own copy and it has just come. So I will return my Camas library book. And if you live in Camas, go down or get your name in there right away, because right now they don't have a waiting list. And if you can't get a book through a library, it's available on Amazon, and it's available at a reduced rate, through some booksellers, and it also is available as a Zoom, what do you call it, a Kindle book. And if you can't afford it, we will help you. So let me know if you need a book, we'll get you one. Okay. I look forward to having a very active discussion about this book. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. So like I said, we think in-person events are going to start. You can sign up. Voter Services will be happy for your help, and we plan to partner with other organizations. I just saw that in the chat. We want to partner with NAACP and the Peace and Justice Fair. So again, as Ellie said, if you just want to dip your toe into the water and kind of find out more about things, that's a great way to sign up. And I guess later in the program, we're going to talk about how easy it'll be to sign people up. But at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Tracy. She's got some more things to tell us.
Last year, you heard about the remarkable efforts by the brilliant Allison McCaffrey of statewide League of Women Voters in creating something called the Speak Up School. And I want to give you a little bit of a follow-up on that Speak Up School, because we are really proud of our efforts that we did locally within the Speak Up School. And then I want to tell you about taking it forward. So not only did we hold a number of trainings for the community on speaking up, and at that time, we were really focused on speaking up on redistricting, and everyone is quite aware of what a mess that was, and why testifying was so very important. I want to do a quick, many of you may know I'm the League historian, and so I want to tell you that one of the most enduring and important values of all to the League of Women Voters is testifying. Now, at one point, one of my excellent editors, and I want to give a call out right now, that do you know that if you do writing and if you do work here for the League of Women Voters, what a force of people we have behind us. I'm a pretty good writer, but only pretty good. What makes me good is that I have 2 editors from the League, and they are Sally Hale and Deanne Finken. So if I was trying to find somebody, I'd have to spend big bucks in order to find an editor of that kind of caliber. But guess what? When I work on League things, I have them as my team, holding my backside all of the time. Can I tell you how lucky I feel? So the other thing is testifying, and testifying is about writing up what you're going to say and practicing, right? It's not just kind of getting there and trying to figure out what you're saying. The reason why is that we at League of Women Voters know that you only get so many chances to speak. Many people also often feel a fear of public speaking, right? It's a very common fear. What I want to tell you is we have your back. We will help you write your piece. We will teach you how to speak. We will talk about all kinds of things with you that we have learned with this curriculum, because we really want to launch in now, not only on Zoom, but as well as live. We know that as the community opens and as people get more and more concerned about democracy, we have the answer. One reason that we're so resource heavy on this PowerPoint presentation is to talk to you again about the immense arms that we have as the Civic Committee to help you present yourself as a finer public speaker, and to join us and to make a difference in our community by using your voice. First of all, there's lots of ways that people can help. We always can use researchers on the back end. Are you worried about a PowerPoint presentation? By the way, I made this presentation and I would make it for you as well. And I use the League here. We have so many ways to support you. We would help you refine your presentation. And if you're saying, well, you know, I kind of like to speak, but I'm not really sure what I would like to speak on. Oh, well, guess what? We've got that too. We have a whole number of topics that we're thinking about. So we need more of you to join us in a way that I want to tell you is wonderful. Some people don't know about speaking to people, but can I tell you how exciting it is? What an exciting communion it is of the people who you are speaking to. They all want you to succeed. It's just a wonderful thing. Are you interested? Put your name in the chat and we're going to follow up on you and hope that you will join us.
Thank you, Tracy. Are you hearing a common theme here? We want your ideas and we want you. And I also wanted to say that we are hoping to reach out to other organizations to do presentations. So if you're connected with organizations like Key Club or Rotary and you think they would like to hear a presentation from the League, please let us know. So anyway, here are examples of more ideas that we've been thinking about. And again, this is your opportunity to tell us other topics you would like for us to start covering in civics education. If you haven't come up with any ideas, we don't need to worry about it. You can always email, like I said. And also the state civics education committee has done a poll of an inventory of the various leagues, and we have like over 164 activities. So we can always refer to those also. And if you're interested in looking at them, look on the state's League website and you can find that inventory. It's pretty long. Okay, next slide. So civics education is important to every League member. You want to be educated as a League member, and today we've given you all sorts of ideas for how you can become more informed. And we want to encourage you to help us to join in and helping everyone else to be more knowledgeable. In case you want to join us, we meet first and third Tuesdays from 10 to 11. Email me and I will send you the Zoom link. And if you go to the next slide, there's my information. So please consider joining us, even if it's for that one-time event, or if you really want to be a part of a very active committee and do some exciting things, please consider joining us. And I'll say at that point, thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Let's give her and the civics team a hand. That was tremendous information, an awful lot in a short period of time, and appreciate the offer of the PowerPoint. That's terrific because there are a lot of resources in there. Civics education can be extremely fun, and particularly when you reach someone and the light bulb goes off. So that's a real benefit to it. Judy Hudson is going to speak to us about the upcoming state council. We hope that you all will consider attending. It is an in-person event in Everett. So take it away, Judy.
Well, I just want to tell you, is this me or is it Judy Stanton?
Judy Hudson.
Okay, well, on the 10th through the 12th of June at the Delta Hotel in Everett, Washington, there's going to be a council in person, which is really exciting. And it's been kind of, they've kind of had the arrangements out there, but this is very definite. They are definitely, it's not going to be virtual. You have to show up to do it. The registration is $125, but we voted at the board meeting that if you want to be a delegate, that we will cover your registration and your hotel costs. So think about that, and it's a good time. They're also going to have a special speaker, a lobbyist, and you can correct my pronunciation. It's Nick Lovrich, and he wrote a book and it's published by WSU Press, and it's all about lobbying inside the Washington State Legislature. So he's supposed to be an excellent speaker, and that will be on Saturday, the 11th, and you can also order a box lunch. So if you would like to be a delegate, there's time still to sign up, I think. Is that right, Nancy? And let Nancy know, and link there. And then Susan Fleming will be there because she's on the state board. And I understand Sally and Deanne are going to be giving presentations there. So it should be a great council, and it's exciting to kind of see people back together again.
Thank you. Any questions about council? Yeah, if so, please raise your Zoom hand. Okay, all right. Mary Schick, she has some updates on a couple of very exciting programs.
Okay, we've talked a bit about Club Express, and so I'll give you an update on that. On March 10th, our local League of Women Voters of Clark County Board approved the subscription purchase of Club Express, which is a cloud-based association management platform. I'm starting to think of it, calling it League Express, because so many leagues in the United States are using it that we have our own league targeted work groups. The Club Express platform will provide our league with tools to manage our websites, member and donor databases, events and volunteer opportunities, and provide a central repository for documents and forms such as your committee work, meeting minutes, and observer core reports. So then we can focus our efforts on our critical mission of empowering voters and defending democracy. It will also give all league members the opportunity to update their user profile with their contact information, areas of interest, such as, I want to help with the Civics Education Committee. So you can check that box, and Teresa can get a hold of you, or you say, wait, I don't really want to be on that whole committee and do all that work. You can still volunteer, but I just want to do some stuff remotely, and you'll be able to check a box and say, I don't want to be on the committee, but I'll help design PowerPoint presentations, or I'm willing to volunteer in person by monitoring chat questions from the audience during somebody else's civics presentation. So it'll really expand on what we can do and how we can organize it better without having a bunch of emails floating all over or a bunch of separate Google Docs spaces. It's bringing everything together for us. And it's incorporating how other leagues are doing it across the United States, so we can sort of copy their ideas. Your first interaction with Club Express is going to be with your June 2022 membership renewal. So be on the lookout for emails and announcements and articles in in May's Voter. We're going to offer several short 30-minute web-based introductory demonstrations and training sessions. So we'll have sessions early in the morning and late in the evening. Feel free to take a session once, 2 or 3 times so you can be comfortable with us. And if you have any questions or need information about Club Express, contact any members of our Club Express delivery team, Sharon Brown, Judy Stan, Ellie Hunton, or me, Mary Schick, or leave a note in the chat window now. And if you want to get a sneak peek of Club Express, come to the April 14th, that's next Thursday, 4:30 p.m. chat with the league meeting. And we're going to give you a little sneak peek of Club Express. All right, now I'll get on to Be a Voter. And you've heard about, we've got this campaign going, Be a Voter, which is, instead of just getting people to go out and vote, we're giving them the command, we're giving them the command to actually Be a voter. There it is. Okay, that's what the logo looks like. That's what I wanted to get in my background. And so give you an update on some sign campaigns we're doing for that. It looks like we're on track for selling 2-sided Be a Voter yard signs at our May 14th membership meeting. They'll probably be somewhere around $10, $15 for you. We're going to have 100 signs, and our goal is to sell out all 100. You can buy them and give them to your friends, have 2 in your yard. They're 2-sided, so you can have a front and back at all times. Or you can place them on boulevards in your neighborhood. And the idea is they're not going to have specific dates on them. So they'll be reusable from election to election. So it's not a one and done. Good for the environment. Another part of our Be a Voter campaign is we're going to have Be a Voter campaign information and Vote 411 information on all 165 C-Tran and paratransit buses from July 1 through August 31st. So it'll be reminders, including dates and giving them more resources with the QR code to access things like the Vote 411 resources. It'll cover both the primary and the general election, 4 months on all the buses. Thank you. Any questions on Be a Voter or Club Express? Feel free to give me a raised hand.
Judy Hudson, you're muted.
Let me unmute. Mary, I want to add is, when are you going to sell the signs so that people know they can bring their money and buy them?
Our plan is with the May membership, at the May membership meeting, it'll be the first time.
Okay.
Okay, that's our plan. We'll get more information out.
Okay.
And if you're not going to the membership meeting in person, you're still a little nervous, we'll try to have like a just drive by and we'll come out to your car and give you a sign too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And again, any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So now you get to listen to me for a little bit. I will try to get through this quickly. I'm changing the agenda just slightly. At last month's membership meeting, during when we talked about voter services, we had a few polls, and one of the polls was, what do you feel is the most important thing that the league should work on? Interestingly, this was not what you wanted to work on, but it was what you felt that was the most important to work on, and that was to combat mis and disinformation. So I wanted you to be aware that there is a Washington State League group on combating mis and disinformation. And I am going to put Rosalind Duffy's information in the chat. It's also on the agenda that went out to you. So if any of you are interested in working on that, since you identified it as the most important thing, please contact Rosalind. Working on this as a state effort will probably have a stronger impact. So that takes care of that. Next, the National Convention is at the end of June in Denver, the National League Convention, and it is a hybrid. So you could register for in person, or you could go to Denver for in person. One great thing about it is Alan Unell is a member of our league and has been working on healthcare, is now a member of the Washington State League lobby team on healthcare. And there will be an educational caucus at the National Convention, sponsored in part by our league, on the financial quality and equity crises in healthcare and the search for solutions. So that's kind of a feather in our cap, but solely due to the efforts of Alan and his wife, Sophie. So we greatly appreciate their work in promoting healthcare for all. Okay, Observer Corps reports. You've heard us mention this a bit, and we had a request to kind of bring you up to date on what the Observer Corps is seeing. So where do we observe? And this, you're everyone is welcome to become an observer. It's not difficult, and it's wherever you would like to watch whatever government meeting you like to watch. But at present, the Vancouver City Council, the Vancouver Planning Commission, the Port Vancouver Regional Library System Board, the Camas City Council, the Clark County Council, Clark County Planning Commission, the Battleground School Board, the Board of Health, and the Railroad Advisory Board, which that one is pretty fun. That one's very, very different, and so that one's pretty fun. What are some things that have come out recently? Well, we got advance notice because we were at the meeting about the sternwheeler that's going to be making stops at the Kaminista Port, which is a big boost to that area for tourism, and they're going to be there for a day and run tours, all-day tours from there. The Planning Commission for the Clark County Planning Commission on 4/21, they have another review and to make recommendations on the Clark County Housing Options and Action Plan, which, housing is a very hot topic, affordable housing, homelessness, changing standards, all involvement with the Growth Management Act. So it kind of all meshes together. And so it's been very interesting to see the different jurisdictions go through their parks plans, their housing plans, their buildable lands. So that's definitely educational and meaningful to all of us, because most of us have run into a situation where we drive down the street near us and they go, oh, there's now an apartment building, or there's now a commercial development, and we had no idea that was going to happen. The land use study and public participation study folks are working on a study for our league to address those kinds of issues. Now, the hot topic right now is redistricting, and Tracy touched on this a bit. The Speak Up Schools focused on state redistricting, and lately our league's been focused on local redistricting. A word about testifying. We as individual citizens can obviously testify as private citizens. Testifying for the league is an entirely different matter. It must be the president of the league or someone who is designated by the board to actually speak for the League of Women Voters. The redistricting in Clark County, we have submitted twice before in the last few months as a league, and we will be doing that again next Wednesday on the 13th at 8:30 in the morning, when they have a public hearing on the latest map. This has not been a pretty process. And I would encourage all of you to at least familiarize yourself with what is going on in our county, because it affects all of us. So if you have any specific questions, please let me know. So on redistricting, I think that about covers that, unless there is a question. Okay, the council meetings, let's see, council meetings beginning next week. This will be interesting. Let me back up a little bit. The Vancouver City Council is in person, but they allow a hybrid testimony. So you can call in, and of course their meetings are viewed on CBTV also. So the Clark County Council is going to try a hybrid this next week. The councilors may or may not be in person. Testimony can be in person or via WebEx. So it will be interesting. They do have some sound issues, but they also have some health issues that there are concerns about being in public. So yeah, it'll be interesting next week to see exactly how that works. Okay, last topic, annual meeting. Oh, the annual meeting is coming up May 14th. This is a very, very important meeting. This is our most important business meeting of the year. We take care of an awful lot of issues. We elect officers, board members. We approve the bylaws, and this year the bylaws got a complete redo. The program of work, we readopt our positions. So the May voter, which will be delivered or sent out on April 30th, will have the information. There's just too much to send you in emails, and I'm sure you do not want your inboxes, jammed up with this stuff. So the plan is there will be an agenda posted in the voter, and then under the agenda item will be a link to the supporting documents. That is the plan as far as I know. But it is very critical that you pay attention to what you're going to be voting on. And there are instructions for absentee voting. You cannot vote on officers or board members via absentee because there could be nominations from the floor, but you will be able to vote on everything else absentee. The annual meeting will be a hybrid. We will be reconvening at our meeting spot, CDM Home Care Services, 2300 Andreessen Road in Vancouver. They have a wonderful facility. There's plenty of room to spread out. So we're very excited about getting together. But we also will be via Zoom. So, hybrid is not perfect, but we're pretty happy with the technology that CDM has, and feel it will be sufficient. So we are very excited about that. There will be door prizes. Any questions about the annual meeting, anything about civics, anything that we've covered today? Okay, terrific.
Okay, I have one question, because Civics, and I'm on Civics, brought up, doing something with Oregon or across the border. I was at a reception, for lack of a better word, on Thursday, and met some League of Women Voters members from Clackamas County, and they said that used to do a cross thing with several county leagues in the area, including Clark, and they called it the CLOR something. I forgot what she said. Does anybody know that or remember about that? She said it's disbanded, but Clark was one of the first. Clark was involved in it at one point.
Either Judy Stanton or Jane Van Dyke, can you answer that?
I don't remember that. Looks like Judy's laughing. Maybe she does.
She's on mute.
Judy, I'll talk to you later about it.
No, that is very interesting. And yeah, we have done a few things with Skamania, but that would be exciting.
There she is.
Well, we did do something where we held council cooperatively with Oregon and Washington Council here, and a convention one time.
Yeah.
But there used to be a group that was a Lower Columbia something or other, and I believe it was formed because of concerns about leakages up at Hanford. But I don't remember anything else. I don't know.
Yeah. Nancy, I used to be a member of the Oregon League in Salem, and I was aware of the group that Judy, you just mentioned, and I would like to see us reestablish some kind of communication, especially where the bridge is going to be coming between Portland and Vancouver. I really think that some kind of a coordination between our league and at least Portland League, but it sounds like this group that you were talking about that remembers a coordination in the past should be reactivated, and I would be interested in being part of that.
All right. Well, I would say that Teresa and your team put that in your toolbox. Tracy.
I just want to put in a plug that more people need to be in the Observer Corps. I attended the virtual city council meeting with the lovely action of accepting the Women's History Month proclamation. And I had some very nice words that I carefully put together because I was talking about the league and I was in favor of democracy and niceness. And and the people who commented shocked me. And Nancy said, well, yeah, you know, Tracy, guess what? I got to tell you, I really will tell you, by anybody's definition, they were whacked out. It wasn't even just principled conservatives, you know, speaking their line. People were argumentative and making wild assertions and even bringing in the new global world order. Remember that old trope? And so holy Toledo, there are some disturbing things. And I really felt a lot of compassion for the people on the panel, you know, the council members and everything, that they had to endure that kind of abuse. And so I also was thinking that some of us, of course, as private citizens, but may need to be just also attending and saying civil, positive comments. That's my thing.
Thank you. And we do have a couple league members who do that on a regular basis with the county and with the Board of Health. And it is refreshing to hear somebody say, I think you're doing a good job, or I'm glad that you did this, or, you know, something positive. That is refreshing. Unfortunately, our testimony this next week probably won't be positive, but it's very, very necessary because of what has gone down with the redistricting process in Clark County. So stay tuned. Anything else? Okay, let's see. Anything in chat? No. All right.
Any questions in chat, Nancy? People have been sharing things, but I haven't seen any questions.
Okay, thank you. Well, this is awesome. It is 11 a.m. Wonderful. You've got your Saturday ahead of you. And so we look to see you definitely at the annual meeting. Have a wonderful rest of the month. Okay, thank you again, Teresa.
Stop by chat with the league on Thursday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mary. Yes.
What another plug.
That link will go out this next week. Okay. Thank you for reminding me.